Hello SLAPAFISH community, welcome back to another World Tanks console video. So in this video, I'm going to be playing the Tier 5 Soviet Premium Preferential Matchmaking Tier 5 Heavy Tank. That was a lot to say. The Bogatyr, or the KV-220-2. So this tank is great. So this tank is heavily armored. I believe it has a Tier 7 hull at a Tier 5. That can only meet Tier 6s, so that tells you something. I believe it is the KV-3 hull armor that the Bogatyr rides on top of, because it has 120 millimeters armor on its front, and 100 on its side, and 100 on the back of its tank, which is extremely good. But the weak point of this tank is the turret. The turret has 90 millimeters of penetration, 90 millimeters of armor at the front, 75 at the side, 75 at the rear. So if you want to pin it, you're pinning through the turret. Now keep in note the size and rear, the side and the rear of the turret armor is 75 millimeters, which is what the KV-1, the Tier 5 Soviet Textury heavy tank that can meet Tier 7s, has all the way around this tank. 75 millimeters of armor. This one has 120 at the front, and 100 on the sides and back of its hull armor. Also, this tank gets 860 hit points. When this tank first came out, you could go on pretty much any map and just sit out in the open, and pretty much nobody could pin you. Even artillery was doing literally no damage to you. I remember a couple of matches where steps was the funnest time for the Bogatyr, because in steps you can literally just turn it onto auto drive and just push out into the open field. In auto drive, you just put it on auto drive and just laugh at everybody shooting at you and could not pin you. Artillery hitting you, and you're just barely taking any damage from the artillery. You could still do that now, but back then people didn't know about the weak point of the turret armor. More people do know now, and the penetration overall at Tier 5 has went up. But the armor of the Bogatyr is still really great. Now, the only reason I'm getting damage here is because that OI experimental is using the derp gun, and then it's taking slowly amounts of health off of my tank, which I know that, and that's why I'm like backing away from that OI experimental. And that's why I was trying to focus fire on the OI experimental. So the gun of the Bogatyr is not the greatest. That's probably why it's a preferential matchmaking tank. It has 99 millimeters of penetration on its standard round and 121 on its premium. 110 damage with 1,540 DPM. And yeah, if you also angle and side scrape in this tank is just really good. Like, also you're seeing me struggle against the OR experimental. This is a Tier 5 super heavy. But even on the sides, I struggle with my 121 millimeters penetration. Now, here comes a Bogatyr and a Matilda up behind me. But this tank, also, I'm going around the Matilda as much as I can, because I know I have the armor to kind of take shots from the side. Remember, I have 100 millimeters of armor on the side with standard penetration at 99, so that means high likely if this Bogatyr is shooting standard, it's going to bounce. Now I'm going to be low in premium because Bogatyr versus Bogatyr, as a mission just said, and I'm also angling against this Bogatyr, and the Bogatyr doesn't know about the weak point of the turret. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it does, I'm still wiggling back and forth, keeping the Bogatyr not able to shoot the top of my turret or onto my turret. So that's pretty much how you win a Bogatyr match. Angle, wiggle back and forth, load that premium, and try to aim for weak points. That's pretty much what you do when you're Bogatyr versus Bogatyr. you gotta load premium because your standard is never going to go through your armor. It will struggle against the only time that the standard will go through the Bogatyr's armor is through the turret. Will guaranteed through the sides and the rear of the turret, but if you're fighting a Bogatyr that's fighting you, you're going to only have the frontal armor, which is kind of shaped in a way, angled, with 90 millimeters of armor, so not really going to work there, so you're going to have to load premium and try to aim for the whole armor. So yeah, Bogatyr versus Bogatyr matches, when it's a 1v1 Bogatyr, you get to see who is the better Bogatyr player. The Bogatyr is a fun tank. KV-220-2, also same tank. Bogatyr is just one of those tanks. Also, notice I'm getting shot from the back of my tank, from that medium tank. I know I have the armor, but I also do know that the pace is getting captured, and I am quite a slow tank. This tank is 33-4, 10 reverse, with a power waste ratio of 10.45, with a terrible signal of view range at 310. So, yeah. And when you're playing the Bogatyr, you really want to focus on tanks that can pin you. Because if you focus on, not many tanks can pin you, but if you can knock out the tanks that can pin you and damage you, you're pretty much unstoppable. That's pretty much what I was doing this entire match. I was aiming for those tank destroyers, and I was also aiming for that OI experimental. OI experimental was shooting high explosive, so it was doing damage to me, but didn't have the penetration to actually pin me. So yeah, Bogatyr, fun tank, heavily armored. Bogatyr 1v1 matches are really fun to be in. Anyway, that's it for this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, remember SLAPAFISH, because why would you not? And peace out. See ya.